symptoms?
Ascension symptoms.
Yes, I mean, does the body go through any kind of changes while your frequencies are changing or your vibrations?
Yeah, no, it does. It affects different people differently. Um, but essentially, what is happening is because of the higher frequency energies coming down, um, and they're going to get more intense in the different times of the year that they become, more intense. But essentially, when that begins to happen, our bodies are filled with cells. We have about 44 trillion cells in our body, and each one of those cells is moving, and it's moving, and the molecules in our body also spin. So it affects the angle of particle rotation of your molecules in your body. So it will affect the you know the will have subtle effects on the body, but for some people it'll have dramatic effects on their bodies. It just depends on where they're at in terms of their own development.
All right.
Yeah, so you find with some people, might even have as dramatic effect as having headaches, feeling nauseous, um, having a sense of, not being fully in their bodies. Um, for me, I feel it because I'm quite sensitive to this energy, and when I feel that those frequencies in my body, I try to anchor them into the earth as quickly as I can, so that I don't hold them too long in my body. Hi, Louise.
Good morning. Yes,
right.
It's good morning there. Good morning. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Louise.
Yeah, we've just been talking about the symptoms of ascension and how they affect people's bodies. So
I asked because like you mentioned, I get the headaches, but my headaches they're moving, and they're becoming lesser, but so it's telling me that whatever it's doing in one area, it's already done, and then it's moving over into another area.
Yeah, and I was explaining that what I do is I go to take my shoes off, walk barefoot on stone or soil, and then I breathe in, take a deep breath, and then I hold it for a few seconds, and then focus my attention on the energy in my body, and then I give a blow, and with the intention of moving that energy down through my feet into the earth.
Okay. I can do that. I don't get any snow this time of year.
Colin, may I add something to that for Sue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Sue, what I noticed, and that's awesome, Colin. It's funny. I just saw that before I even got on here that you were saying that. Okay, so what I do in addition to that, Sue, is I'll spray water on my head, because the water helps with what's going on in my head region. So I'll spray water all around me. So I have like a little rose spray water bottle, but I make the water very special that I use and I spray on my head. Not just tap water. It's special water.
Okay.
And it helps. I mean, because my head expands so much through all of this that I'll go through that too. And when it starts coming on, I'll go use the water on me, and it really, really helps.
Yeah. Will you explain how you make your water special?
Okay, I use Kangen water, and I have crystals that were placed in the Giza pyramid.
Right.
And I put those crystals in my special water, and that's the water that I use. Kangen, very clean water. It's purified water. As well as crystals in the water. It's not just tap water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can also do to help is to put it in a glass jar, but it mustn't have a plastic lid. If possible, just a glass lid, and put that out in the sun and leave it out in the sun for a day. And then the next day, the water's energized and you can use that water.
Yeah, and if you have a green bottle, that helps even more. I was taught that by a Hindu.
Right.
To put it in like a green wine, an old wine bottle that you don't use anymore or something, but a green one. There's something about green and placing it in the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 3 green bottles in the house. Okay, all right. All right. I have a filter on my tap, so I drink alkaline water. So,
Perfect. And then just pop some crystals in there and spray it on your head, and you'll see. It always helps me because I run a lot of energy on my head, and I use a lot of water.
Yeah.
A lot of water.
Okay, I'm gonna try that and put it out in the sun.
Yeah, and the color green is the color of the fourth chakra, your heart chakra. So that's why the green helps, because it takes on the frequency of the heart, the emotional center of the body. So that is very helpful. Yeah. Do you know that water holds memory? Scientists here still don't understand water. They're still trying to figure out water. They can't understand how it can be a gas, a liquid, and a solid, and it's the same thing. It just depends on the temperature, and it does certain things that other materials don't do. Like if you put 2 glass jars next to each other with a lip, and you fill it with pure water, must be pure water, the water actually creeps up the side of the jar and will try to get across to the other water. And
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and it forms a bridge across the 2 jars. And if you pull the jars away from each other, that water will hang there and it will start to vibrate until it vibrates too fast and then it collapses. Yeah, water is the strangest thing, but our bodies are about 2/3 water. So we have that amazing substance in our bodies, and that helps a lot in the cell signaling and the communications in our body, because pure water holds memory, and it's an amazing substance,
Which means you can play music to it, vibrations to it. You can put it on crystals. You can put crystals in it. You can write words on it, very powerful words like Dr. Emoto showed.
Yeah.
The effects of, speaking to the water or writing on the water. And you can even take the water to your heart before you drink it. All kinds of things can be done with water.
Yeah. And water actually takes on the frequency of the person who's around the water. And how scientists discovered this, they were looking into water, and they had their students to drop a drop of water on a flat glass plate, and then once the water had dried, they looked at that water under a microscope, and every drop of water for the different participants was different. So participant A had very similar patterns in the water. Participant B had very similar pattern, but it was totally different to patterns on participant A, and so on. So they had, all these drops of water. That there were 8 drops of water on each plate, and most of those looked the same, but each plate was different from the other plates. They couldn't figure that out. And as you say, Dr. showed that water is also intelligent. So if you put a label on water like love, and that's what, that's the pattern, the crystalline pattern that water will take if you do that. So my higher selves, when I was waking up, they said, what's the most intelligent part of your body? And I immediately said the brain. And they said, no, it's the blood. Your blood is more intelligent than your brain. Your brain actually has no intelligence. It processes information, but your blood is actually intelligent. In other words, it thinks, it has memory, and it communicates. Fascinating stuff.
Very.
And our bodies fundamentally are so closely associated with the energy in our bodies. So the heart, the soul, and the body are they're interlinked. What happens in the soul will happen in the body, you know. So that's why it's important to think good thoughts and have good emotions, have good values, have good attitudes, and to practice those, because that energizes the body. You know, it's the energy is transferred from the soul into the body.
So, and basically what you just got through saying, I would say that if you practice all of what you just mentioned, that you allow the energy to flow and there's no resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's things like anger, fear, envy, greed, all those negative energies, they actually affect your body as well, you know, because they have an energy signature. It's information, and it's conscious information. And that conscious information will affect the cells in the body. There's an excellent video on YouTube by Dr. Bruce Lipton, and it's called The Biology of Beliefs. And he explains it very, very well.
Okay.
The biology of the leaves, like the leaf of a tree?
No, beliefs. Believing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought biology of the leaf. Oh, I love that. I love the trees.
Yeah. Now, if you think about water and plants, that if you take a large tree, to think how much energy it takes to take water out of the ground and pump it, 50, 60 feet into the air and to every leaf and every branch and every vein in the leaves. It's quite an amazing substance, and it's quite amazing how the tree has enough intelligence to pull that water out of the ground, and it also has enough energy, because it takes a lot of energy to move that water all the way from the ground through the trees. And water's everywhere. The 2/3 of the planet is covered in water, and we just haven't learned how to use it. In actual fact, we could just use water in the sea for everything, for running vehicles, for powering plants, for creating electricity. And some scientists have actually done that. They've invented engines that run off seawater, but the technologies have been shut down because it will put the oil industry out of business. It's a funny thing, but humans always try to do things the hard way.
May I ask?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, may we discuss the mechanics of creation? And I heard you say that it's the same in all universes.
Yeah.
The mechanics of creation. And so I'd like to understand that, in particular about how to set things right here. Because I know in other universes, in other places, I can do things much easier than here. And so I'd like to, and it's not about doing it easy, it's about doing it. So in another realm, I can materialize like that, without anything in my way.
Yeah.
Well, there's something in my way here.
Yeah.
And so I want to figure it out, like what's in the way, and jump through it or around it or whatever is needed.
Yeah. Okay, well, first let's deal with the mechanics of creation. And what I mean by that, the creation of manifestation. So it's manifest things. And all manifest things work on the same principle. They all manifest through a process of consciousness creation, or you could even call it soul creation, that everything that's manifest is built on the same soul template. And it just depends different on we evolve through our soul evolutionary journey, we start to accrete and accrue more light codes in our soul bodies. And those light codes are correspond to DNA. So depending on what light codes we have in our body, that's will determine the form that we have, which is in our DNA. So all soul beings are created in the same way. When consciousness is created, now a strange thing happens, and scientists don't really understand this, but this is the way it is, that when two waves collide with each other, and then opposite charges, and they're in harmonic convergence with each other. In other words, they recognize each other and they're in harmony with each other. Then it creates a spark. And that spark is the first spark of creation, as it were, manifest creation, because what that spark does, it creates conscious observation, self-awareness. And when that soul becomes self-aware, what it observes becomes particle.
Okay.
So it's the observation of the waves of energy that creates manifest. And then these two particles, which we call quanta here, they begin to attract more and more of themselves, and they create a morphogenetic field, it's called, and it's also called a quark. And these are highly charged quanta of opposite polarity. And then they eventually begin to spin because of the nature of the opposition of attraction, and everything in the universe spins. Even though this Earth is spinning around the universe, it's not actually rotating around the universe, it's spinning. Then those quarks form atoms, which also spin, but that they become more organized in that you get a neutron in the inside and a proton and electrons on the outside, and they're spinning around the center. And when they begin to spin very fast, they begin to vibrate, and this vibrates, causes them to separate and create molecules. And then the molecules continue this vibration, and that vibration creates the cells in the body. So that's basically the format for manifest creation. Now, what a quanta is, what a morphogenetic field, the atom, molecule, and cell are, it's quite a complex science, but if you really want to understand it, you need to do some research on it. But there's a stepped process. So we have consciousness at the wave level, we have consciousness at the particle level, we have consciousness at the quark level, we have consciousness at the atomic level, we have consciousness at the molecule level, and we have consciousness at the cell level. So we're not just cellular beings, okay? We are cells, and we have all those levels that, like when we treat the body, people take pharmaceuticals, and that's a chemical, and that affects the body at the atomic level, the level of chemistry. but they can also treat the bodies at the molecular level, or they can treat the body at the cellular level. So, there are different ways, and you can also treat the body at the wave level of frequency. And some scientists understood there was a guy by the name of Right Royal Raymond Rife, who invented what he called a frequency generator.
Yeah, I have one of his machines.
Yeah.
Not him in particular, but one that was made under his science.
Yeah.
His technology. Go ahead.
Pardon. Yeah. Because waves, an interesting thing that when you take, for instance, pharmaceuticals, that chemistry happens at the atomic level, but only happens on the outside of the atom. It doesn't go through the atom. Whereas frequency passes right through atoms, molecules, and cells, so it treats the whole cell. And by identifying the frequency of various bacteria and viruses, Rife was able to, by producing these frequencies in the body, it actually destroys those bacteria and viruses in the body.
Yes.
Amazing.
It is. What I wanted to go back to was the observer. I want to understand, because it seems like that's at the very beginning. So it's the observation that creates creation, or that creates. Could you explain that to me on like a human, how a human would observe something and then create it? It seems too, and then when we do after that, I want to talk about what here is interfering and us doing like we normally do. Like what is the antidote to it, so we can pop over it instead of it impeding us? Because I know that there's different technology here that is impeding me and doing what I normally do.
Yeah. That basically it's called the frequency fence that's been put around this planet. And it's also known as blank slate technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was created, it's quite a sophisticated technology that was used to do that. And it was done by the fallen angelics to actually keep us under control and to separate us from the consciousness of the universe. So we are just self-conscious, and we're conscious of this planet, but we don't have a universal consciousness. It's in our soul bodies, but it's not in our physical body, because they tampered with our DNA as well. And our DNA was corrupted by them removing one of the strings. So we only two strands of DNA. We meant to have 3. And they also removed 2 chromosomes from our DNA, so we have 46 instead of 48 chromosomes. So, in a sense, in the physical body, our physical experience here, we don't have the powers that we should have, simply because the body is unable to resonate with the soul, because the soul template still holds the 3 strands. In fact, the soul template we have 12 strands of potential DNA. So, and that potential is energy. As one raises one's energy, one begins to. Now, we talked earlier on about the ascension effect, and how it will affect the body. So what happens when the frequencies are raised here, it actually begins to transmute the cells in the body. And it begins to activate what is called phantom DNA. So the 3rd strand begins to accrete, and it begins to form. And so we have this potential of ascension. And then at the final point, when something called the event happens, but it'll be a kind of a solar flash that will activate all that DNA, and boom, in a matter of a flash, we'll all be changed. Our consciousness will be changed. No, it's amazing. Yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen it too, that event. Yeah.
yeah. Now, if you take for instance, if you take a typhoon and it's spinning very fast, if you just take all the sand and dirt out of it, if you try walk through that typhoon, although it's just air, you can't penetrate it. And it's the frequency of that spin around the typhoon that actually creates a barrier of entry. Well, that's more or less how that technology works, the blank slate technology and frequency fence. So it's not a visible thing, it's an energy thing. And what they do, they have this spinning around this planet so fast that we can't actually get through.
What I have noticed, though, is when you go to the center, to Still Point, to the center, it isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, at the Still Point, nothing exists except you and everything else. It's a strange place because there's nothing there, but everything's there.
Right.
Because everything comes from nothing.
Right. I'm very familiar with that place. I do well at that place. Very well. It's like my soul codes are that.
Yeah.
But then try to bring that in, like, and coexist in the world. It's interesting because most people are the other way. Most people want to run around outside themselves.
Yeah.
I am best in the no zone.
Yeah.
And the nothing. Like Shiva is my soul.
Yeah.
And so, because Shiva showed me. So Shiva, as I shared with you, is no thing.
Yeah.
That's what Shiva means.
Yeah.
No thing. And when you were describing the void, when you were talking about the void, when you go from the third dimension and then there's a void, when you were talking about the dimensions with, I believe her name is Samadhi, and you go through the void. Yeah. I am at home in the void.
Yeah. Yeah.
At home.
Yeah. The first time I went through the void, it was a little scary for me because I wasn't used to it. But once I just thought, well, I'm here. Let me just see what happens, And then I just relaxed in it, and there was nothing there. There's no time, no space. Just everything is possible. So
right.
Your thoughts and emotions become things and pictures. So if you're thinking something, it'll appear in front of you. And also, it's what the universe kind of thinks of as the repair shop. So as we go through the dimensions, we go through the void, and that repairs any damage in our soul template. So perhaps if we're carrying hurt or anger or bad memories, all of that gets cleared out. Not cleared in the sense that it's removed, but it gets reconciled. Mm-hmm. So there's a proper kind of reconciliation that happens. So when you go into the next consciousness, you are fully reconciled with all those things. Because a lot of people here, what they're trying to do is reconcile their past with their present. And so they just find that difficult. There are things that happened in the past that they don't want to face or they don't like facing, and it's too painful to go there. So in the void, all of that is reconciled, so that you enter in fully conscious and fully intact with all your memory. And they're not bad memories or good memories.
I have a question about that. When you talk about this void, because I'm not at the level that the two of you are at, can I go into this void while I'm sleeping?
Yeah, you can, but you can't pass through the void to the other side unless you're carrying the right frequencies, because that it would do harm to your soul template. So before I could do that, go into the void, I had to do a lot of energy work and consciousness work and raise my frequencies. When I was at that level of very high frequency, it, I, it was very difficult to function here on this planet because my energy was so high. I was popping light bulbs, and it was interfering with electrical equipment, my computer and my car's motor, and electrical things around me. So when I came back from the higher dimensions, I had to really ground myself and bring all that energy, get it lower my frequencies, because at a very high frequency I can't function normally here because nothing will work. Nothing electrical
Okay.
works. May I add to that, Colin? When you were describing the void, because I usually experience it and then the descriptions come in. So I also find that the void is very similar to the mother's womb.
Yeah.
So being a woman, Sue, you just drop down into your own womb through meditation and experience your own womb and get to know your own womb, because your own womb is the void as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what's inside the womb when you're incubating there? It's water. So going into water, what I used to do is just when I had a bath, I would just hold my nose and dip down and just stay under the water and just meditate under the water for a while. It helps enormously with breath control as well, because breath controls also helps to raise your frequencies or to create frequency in your body, because your heart and your breathing are pretty much correlated, and your rate of breathing will determine the frequency of your fields in your soul body. So yeah, going into a bath, and I used to hold my breath and just meditate. And I used to go into lovely spaces, in that state. But I eventually would have to surface to breathe. But I loved it underneath the water.
So do I. So when you were describing that, I was like, that's the mother's womb, because in a realm I go to, the mother's womb appeared, materialized, was there, showed itself to me, whatever word you want to use, but it appeared. And then I go into the mother's womb and it's the void.
Yeah.
As you described.
Yeah.
As you described. And it's truly phenomenal. And Sue, I want to go back and make sure that if you have any more about that, was that covered for you, sweetie?
Yeah, pretty much so. I'll just have to process the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do. I can only process so much. If it goes beyond me, eventually it comes to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and do some of the exercises. It's no good just having the information in your head. You actually you have to do the doing of it,
Yeah, and I take baths also, so I'm not a shower person.
Oh, that's beautiful. That means you can go under the water in your bath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. And I used to do that in the pool. When you go deep down, you also hear that sound under the water, and it's, when you go down under, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love the water. And plus, us being in Florida, you have more access to pools, hopefully, and stuff like that, Sue.
Uh-huh.
Good.
I've tried that flotation method before, and that one, if you go in without resistance, it works really nice for you.
Yeah. Yeah, floating on water is also has a similar effect, because you're surrounded by water. And water, as I said, is conscious and it's intelligent and it carries information. So yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you. You spoke about the phantom DNA. What are some of the indications that the phantom DNA has been activated, or we're experiencing the 3 strands. Do you know some of the signs that has occurred?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're aware, but there are many children now being born with 3 strands of DNA. You can find that on the internet. So, you know, that is one kind of manifestation of the evolution that is taking place in our bodies. But how it'll affect you, that 3rd strand actually awakens your intuition, and you begin to have a higher sense of intuition. And intuition is inner knowledge. Like you just know something. It's what people sometimes call a gut feel, you know. But essentially, it's your stomach and your brain are made of the same material. So your brain thinks and your stomach thinks. So when you're thinking with your head, it's brain, it's head knowledge. When you're thinking with your stomach, it's intuition. And the seat of our intuition is the pineal gland. And as the phantom DNA begins to activate, so it begins to make the DNA, the pineal gland vibrate as well. And people often worry that, you know, they say our pineal glands are calcified, but you can uncalcify the pineal gland. When it begins to vibrate, it'll uncalcify. I used to do a lot of tapping of my forehead and close my eyes and just meditate and feel the vibration going into my head. Because the tapping of the forehead here sets off a vibration right through the brain to the back of the head.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Easy little application, whether they're hard or easy, but that's an easy one, but that makes sense.
Yeah, when I was waking up, you know, I used to walk down the street and I was carrying my briefcase. I had nothing else to do, so I just sit. As I was walking along, I'd be tapping my forehead. People would look at me, but, you know, it doesn't look too strange compared to some of the other things I had to do.
I feel I've had phantom since I was born, because I was born intuitive. I've had, all the abilities I can access, or the abilities make themselves aware to me when needed.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people will be like, well, what am I thinking, Louise? I'm like, I'm not on demand, and I'm not playing this game.
Yeah.
When there's an application to it, I will know. Like I'm in the bathroom and I'm already knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. It always has.
Yeah.
All the different, all of it.
Yeah.
May we, I want to speak about the observer. Back to the observer. So you spoke about excuse me, the energy, the blank slate technology, and the frequency fence. When I first met you, I'm like, all right, I want to create, I want to be able to create here, like I've created other places, because like you're saying, in the void, you can create anything. So I'm so used to being able to create everything, whatever I want.
Yeah.
And so I get a bit disenchanted here. Let me use that word. And I know there's a way around it. I know there is, whether around it, through it, you know, whatever the words are. And I want to discover it.
Yeah.
Because others have come and done it, like Elijah, Metatron. Elijah ascended. Elijah did it, which Elijah is helping me, of course. But there's a part for me to step up too. And I have seen, I have been able to speak things into, and then they appear, of course. You have any comments or input about that, Colin?
I understand the question very well, because I asked that question of my higher selves as well when I was waking up. And they said to me that I had a soul contract, and I had a certain responsibility in coming to this planet. And it was not to perform miracles and like that, and I had to just accept that my role here was going to be a grid keeper and anchoring the energies that were coming into the Earth's grids, and to focus all my energy in doing that. But having said that, that is a vast miracle. Because we actually achieved that. There were 144,000 of us around the planet, and we started this work in 2006, and by 2000, well, some had started earlier, but I started in 2006. By 2014, we were told we'd been successful, and the Earth's ley lines had been realigned back to origin. Yeah, so
I understand.
It's I also think that it won't mean the too far distant future that we'll have those abilities activated within us. And those of us who are aware of how to be that creative will start creating in that way. Others who aren't aware of that, their creative ability, will have to learn how to be creative. But it's a lot of responsibility attached to creation, because there's certain protocols in the universe in terms of what you can and cannot do. And whatever you create will always have an effect on you. So what you have to create, if you're not creating in a self-fulfilling way, if you create in a self-defeating way, you're just working against yourself. And you may not interfere with the sovereignty of other people. So you can't create things for other people. You can only create things for yourself, unless they come and ask you, please, will you do that? And if they're in agreement, you have a contract with that being, then you can create for them. But, there's a lot of responsibility attached to that creativity.
Yeah, speaking of creating for others, that I seem to do that quite well. That's a good ability of mine. When you speak of our soul contract, and what came to me was is that I know my soul contract to be one of my items is to bridge the worlds together. I am a bridge. I even have a picture of it. Yeah, I even got a picture out of my portal that I spoke it. I'd taken the picture the night before, took the picture the night before, spoke it, found it that next day. So I know. And so I'm to bridge the infinite realm with the physical realm.
Right.
Now, yeah, that's one of my key pieces. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's as you said, it's not frustration. It's really just, you have that ability, but you're not able to perform it here. And it has a lot to do with the energy on the planet, because the Earth's rotational spin and its magnetic spin are not in alignment. Okay, now that affects everything, because all cells, all molecules and all atoms have a rotation of axis, an angle of particle rotation, they call it. And they're all in alignment, and they all align with the rotational, with the magnetic spin on the Earth. So if the Earth's rotational spin is different, you get in a kind of a wobble in manifest creation. So the energy doesn't work as perfectly here as it does on other planets.
And all of that is being realigned.
Yeah. That's the process we're going through now. The ascension doesn't normally happen the way it's happening here, because a normal ascension, when we pass through the center of the central galactic sun, it releases the energy, and the energy comes through the galaxy to our solar system, to the sun, and then it's released to the planet. Now, normally when that happens, then there are what are called Q sites. Now, these are crystal pylon grids that go deep into the earth. And when those crystal pylon grids get activated, it opens the stargates. And we have 144 stargates on the planet. There's Earth stargates, there's solar stargates, galactic stargates, and the universal stargates. And when the stargates are activated, then souls can travel through the galaxy, through the solar system, and so on. But it didn't happen yet because our stargates are held by the fallen ones, and some of them are damaged, and some of the Q sites. Like here in Johannesburg, we have a Q site, but the Q site is damaged through Earth activity and the Earth shaking, so the pylon grids are damaged. If you go on the internet, you can actually find photographs of people who've actually discovered these pylon grids, and where they have caves. So you can go down these caves and you can see these crystal pylons that go down hundreds of feet into the Earth's crust.
Now,
something that's so deep beneath the surface that we're not aware of them.
Now, since that has been damaged, what is the counter to that to still take us through ascension, since it's not the normal way?
Yeah, well, at this time, just to explain that all soul beings ascend, okay? So what that means, they're just going to a higher rate of vibration, okay? So so planets ascend, and they go to a higher rate of vibration, and they become stars. And stars ascend, and they go to a higher vibration, and they become galaxies. Okay, so it's not that they actually physically become galaxies, it's their conscious awareness that creates them to be so. Like our conscious awareness is actually creating us to be who we are. We don't actually exist this way, it's an illusion, it's a hologram. But it's just a reality field where we experience ourselves as manifest beings. Now, at this time, the Earth, the remedy for the problem here is to have the Earth ascend, and when she begins to vibrate at a higher level of frequency and goes through that experience, then that creates the same in us. So that when we were working with the Earth's ley lines, what we were in effect is correcting the and some of the damaged ley lines. And once those were fixed, then the Earth then had the ability to process the energy that's coming through, and then the Earth will go into a higher level state of consciousness, and that will allow us to go with it. So in a sense, we'll go to a new Earth. Mother Earth, the consciousness of Mother Earth will ascend and become another star somewhere else in the galaxy, and the consciousness of the beings on this planet will be hosted in another space or place, and it will have the same consciousness of Earth. So we'll experience Earth, the physical Earth, on another planet. Mother Earth's soul will have ascended, but we will have ascended as well to this new higher level of frequency and a higher state of consciousness. This was kind of my understanding of it, but it's quite complex, really. So fundamentally, that's how it is, because the intention is to have everything ascend. So it's all the microbials, the elements, the minerals, the vegetation, avians, the fish, animals, and everything will ascend. So we'll all go into a higher state of consciousness.
Now, have you received any indication as to, I know we're in the process of this, of when we will see more of the effects around us regarding this?
Well, we already seen that in the sense that the roundup of the fallen ones has begun, the reptilians who incarnated here. Many people who look like humans, but they're actually sociopaths, psychopathic sociopaths. They don't have the same soul structure as humans. Um, and they're the ones who've been carrying on all the pedophilia and child sex trafficking, the Satanism, all the ritual abuse that goes on this planet. But all of those have been rounded up because they have to be dealt with first. So, and humans have to deal with them. Our higher selves are here to help us, but they can't physically do the stuff. We have to do it. So that's what's beginning to happen. You see in the States particularly, but we're happening all over the planet.
Mama.
Yeah, so it's quite a process that happened, but from what I understand, after the midterm elections, we're going to see things move pretty rapidly. After that. And the last time I had a conversation with my higher self, he didn't explain this in any way whatsoever. And I was, saying goodbye and, I'm thanking him for being there. And he said 15th of November, 2018. And that was 3 months ago. And then
November 15th, 2018.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen on that day, but he didn't say that for no reason.
Right. And as you were leaving, like, hey,
yeah.
grab this.
Yeah. Often he would give me messages in a bit of a cryptic form because it's what they call on security clearance. So it's higher level information, but it can't be made public. But he would give me some kind of cryptic clue,
Well, I find too that it also is us involved in it. They're not just hand holding us. They're giving us cryptic, but we're getting the information too. So it's both of us working together.
Yeah.
Rather than just getting spoon fed, which we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then somehow that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me.
What we're doing is we're raising our vibration by doing the work. You see, it's not just knowing the work and feeling the work. We have to do the work.
Yep.
So when this conscious energy is in motion, okay, that's when it begins to kind of like a wheel of a train starts to move. But if it just stands still and doesn't go anywhere, there's no rotation of that energy in the body. So when we do the work, it raises our vibration.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like if I have a day where it's kind of lull, it's like, okay, come on. Okay, who can I go help? But when I'm working with people, and I realized this the other day too, is that most of my work, I seem to find the very advanced ones that have no one they can talk to about any of this stuff. Throughout my life, I just would find them. And what's really cool, Colin and Sue, is I'm literally meeting physical soul family. Like Shiva's best friend, one of them, is Vishnu. So I have met a Vishnu avatar. And this Vishnu avatar remembers or is being presented and shown the avatars of Vishnu. And the avatars of Vishnu are Christ and Ram and Krishna and Buddha and this 19-year-old young man who I found in the comments on Facebook. He was and I was always guided, look at the comments. So I would look at the comments and he was asking about a portal, like how to create a portal. So I was explaining it to him, and then he and I went offline to Messenger, and all of this is opened up for him, which it already was, but even more. And so and then I have a Krishna, a particular Krishna who is also a lot of other things too. And it's just, I more of it comes in, because what I experienced kind of being before my time, in a way, I got beat up a lot. I don't mean physically, I mean energetically. I had some really intense shit, excuse me, that came at me. Like, I'll just give you one example. A friend of mine, I had been friends for a year and a half, was normal for a year and a half. One day we get in the car, we're getting ready to drive. I used to live in California. We're getting ready to drive to a Hindu temple in LA. And we get in the car. She showed up weird. The whole thing was getting to be weird. And I was like, something's going on here. So I pay attention to all of it. I watch all the signs and everything because I'm a guardian and I'm a warrior and I'm all kinds of things. So I'm always looking at everything. And she was just weird even up to that. So we get in the car to go and she goes, and I'm just going to look away. She goes, Louise, put your seatbelt on so I don't kill you. And I went, we don't talk to each other that way. Like, what's up? And I could tell something was weird with her. But because I'd been friends with her for a year and a half, I didn't jump out of the car. Anybody else? I said, I'm out of here. But I was like, okay, calm down, Louise. So we're in the car and we drive on a 2-lane and she's okay. But when we got on the highway, she went to left lane. We're talking 4 lanes of traffic. Left lane, right lane, left lane, right lane, left lane, right lane. I'm like, this chick has been overtaken and she's trying to kill me. So I said to the family internally, I said, do something now inside of me. But with that energy, but I didn't let her hear a word I said because I knew she was taking over and I knew I had to dissolve this very quickly because I was in an emergency situation. So I'm always in oneness, but I dropped even further into oneness. And the family caused traffic to stop. In the middle of the highway, stop. And it stopped and she stopped. Everything from the back seat fell forward. And she came to and I'm like, it's okay. Because you never want to confront them. I'm like, everything's fine. I'm in a hurry. I got to get there. No, you don't. We left early. Everything's fine. Don't worry. It's all right. So I was able to dislodge what had her trying to do it. But it talked to me soon thereafter. And it said, because I had, a whole group of us had encountered another situation, which I had to diffuse again. But this came in, and what I heard was we already sent in one of our experts. She couldn't get you. Now we sent in our next generation.
Right.
AI. That she was taken over by AI. And I went, all right, what do you want? We can't get you. We're going to get who's around you. Yeah. I said, oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. Yeah. No, you're not. So I quickly jumped, and they were going for a friend of mine who's very advanced. And he's not as much a warrior as I am. So he was a bit more a target. So I quickly stepped into gear and we handled it. But that was just one thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Sue and Louise, I've got another 2 meetings to do today, and so that's another 4 hours of meetings. So I'd like to keep these down to about an hour. Otherwise, if it carries on too much, by the time I get to the other meetings, I'm exhausted, not physically, but energetically. So I'm going to go grab some food and go relax for a bit. And we'll get together next Sunday. Maybe we can start next Sunday talking about AI, because people think that AI means they're going to create robots out there that are going to do things, but they don't realize the AI is really, they are going to become the robots.
The AI will become the robots. Yes.
Yeah, they're going to use AI to make us try to turn us into the robots.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll talk about that next Sunday.
Okay,
Okay.
Colin.
Much
All right,
love
love
to you
you,
both.
Colin. Love you, Louise. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a
Thank you.
special day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.